Of course, not all ghosts and goblins hang out at night in cemeteries or old houses. Across Indiana visited one haunted geological feature in broad daylight. And as we discovered, this strange phenomenon also saves precious fossil fuels.
Keller Hill Road runs just outside of Mooresville and seems like any other hilly road we'd see stretching across the Hoosier heartland. But hidden in a hollow of trees, there's one stretch of this road that's a little odd. No, something's not right here.
Right, it looks like you're going uphill and you're going downhill. You roll uphill. That's why it's called Gravity Hill.
Cars mysteriously rolling up hills, defying the law of gravity. To lend his weight to the argument, Don Adams, a Mooresville high school teacher and local historian, backed up the hill to talk to us.
Kids have a lot of fun coming out here and trying it out, and then you bring your friends out. Even adults do that a lot. They'll bring if you sit around, well, what are we going to do? Well, let's go out and back up the hill. Provides a little kind of cheap entertainment.
Cheap thrill or not, let's get to the bottom of this.
My name is Bennett Brabson. I am a physicist at Indiana University. Why is it that here at Gravity Hill that things roll uphill? That is indeed a puzzle. A puzzle, the kind of which is perfect for the understanding and the exploration of a physicist like myself.
On our invitation, Professor Brabson took his plumb bob there and went about testing Gravity Hill. He first checked the angle of the trees to see if there was some sort of optical illusion, he said. Surely the professor could assign an explanation to this. But our historian had one of his own.
There's a big magnet that draws your car out here. I suppose I got to thinking about it, and I think it must have happened after horse and buggy days, because you couldn't get your buggy to go backwards.
What does our resident physicist say to the theory that there is some sort of magnetic attraction at the top of Gravity Hill? One known to pull Toyotas and Fords alike?
Maybe behind that hill, a very large mass, maybe a big chunk of iron underground, which is more dense than the compensating chunk of earth over here. That would do it, but unfortunately, it's only about a millionth of a degree. It would indeed really pull the car, this large chunk of iron, but it wouldn't do enough to notice.
When trying to explain Gravity Hill, there seems to be an awful lot of talk about the stuff Sir Isaac Newton discovered. Is the gravity really different at Gravity Hill?
Drop. Good. We did a check. The check is that at least here, apples and pumpkins both fall downward. This eliminates the possibility that gravity is pointing straight up.
The other myth is that there's a buried voodoo doctor here at the bottom of the hill, and he has some kind of mystery and mystic power, and it draws your car towards it.
A witch doctor. All right. Now there's an explanation. A buried Indian witch doctor still maintains his mystic powers and pulls cars up to his grave. All right.
This is very strange.
Finally, at the end of this fine autumn day, the three of us put away our plumb bobs and put an end to the folk tales. Oh, by the way, if you come up to Gravity Hill, even if you're a believer or a non-believer, set the parking brake, would you?
what connection is there between Halloween and physics? Is it possible that the screams of goblins and elves could really cause a pumpkin to rise out of the pumpkin patch? Well, a physicist's approach to that problem is very simple. We calculate how much energy there is in a scream, and then figure out how many people we need to do the screaming to raise the pumpkin out of the pumpkin patch. For fun, if you do that calculation, and everyone is standing very close, say within a couple of feet, it only takes about 1 million people. My golly, physics is really fun.
For more Across Indiana stories, go to WFYI.org/AcrossIndiana.